Evening, everyone, and welcome to this, our Monday, November 24th, 2025 meeting of the Lunenburg Planning Board. We are meeting at the Bellotta Meeting Room upstairs at Town Hall, as always. If you want to join us tonight, now normally you would be able to join us if you're watching us online. You'd also be able to go to Facebook Live. It does say we'll be on Facebook with our agenda, but we have been superseded by the Tri-Board meeting that's happening tonight. So we are not on Facebook Live, like the agenda says. That's life. We do remain accessible via Zoom, however, so feel absolutely welcome. You can always log into Zoom with the link on our agenda. The agenda is found on the town website, and this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on public access. With all of that, that is our standard preamble, and we can call the meeting to order. Opening, I see Mr. Harris is joining us this evening. Wonderful. We are being joined tonight as well, remotely by Mr. Richard Harris, who is our interim land use director, as well as by Lee Bain. Lee Bain is our new admin assistant in the planning office. Thank you both for joining us tonight. And that's right, our office actually has staff in it. Very, very exciting. If not for all of y'all, I'll tell you that's a pretty great thing in my book. Opening with any board comment? All right, chair and director's report. On the chair side, I would just chime in that we have, the planning office looks real good right now, friends. If you haven't come by, stick your head in if you're in Ritter, stick your head in the planning office. We've got the new counter built, thanks to our friends in facilities, and the office is repainted and it looks fantastic. And we are very fortunate. That also kind of helps with the accessibility for Ritter as well. We can't do anything about the current layout and the long route to the accessible entrance, but this will help keep that way nice and clear and easy to navigate for those who do need the accessible entrance. All right. I think those are actually just the biggies. There's not a lot for me going on. Richard, is there anything you'd like to say, share from the land use director's standpoint?
Not really, no.
No.
I was not expecting to be here tonight, but my other meeting got canceled, so.
I was surprised, and I'm glad you're here. Wonderful. Talk about putting the cart before the horse in some ways. I almost forgot. MBTA communities passed. It passed non-controversially. That is a huge feather in the cap to the various iterations of this board who have been working on MBTA communities since it began 3 years ago. It's a huge feather in the cap for the members of the public who were concerned and reached out either via email or in conversations at the grocery store or at the public info sessions we had. And that let some really good discussions happen so that by the time we got to town meeting, none of this was new. It wasn't what's going on. The community was aware, and even if individuals weren't as aware, they were surrounded by people who did know. It made the process very slick. And Richard and I are looking at getting that all submitted. So we're in a good place. All right. I'm going to go on to appointments. We have Judy Dragoslis here tonight being brought forward as a candidate for the Economic Development Committee. And we have in our folder, either in this folder printed or also on the computers, we have Judy's talent bank form. But Judy, you've owned businesses for Lunenburg forever. Tell us just a little bit.
Okay, I've got a background in business and marketing. The last 15 years of my career have been in the restaurant business. My husband and I have owned 5 restaurants, the last one being Lunenburg Diner here in Lunenburg, until we retired last year. So I'm very familiar with owning, operating, running the business parts. I feel very confident in assisting businesses, and I'm looking forward to, if there's an opportunity to help Lunenburg grow their business, to bring more businesses in. I love this community, and anything I can do to help, I'm interested.
Love it. I would turn to the board and see if we have any questions.
Have you attended or participated in any of the committee's meetings or
No.
watched them?
No, let me add, I'm also the vice president of the Lunenburg Business Association. Okay. So, no, I have not been part of the Economic Development Committee other than attending their last mix and mingle. Okay. And working with some of their board members there, knowing who they are.
So, and I know the Lunenburg Business Association is its own entity and has its own goals and
Correct.
Objectives. How do you kind of intend to use that platform to bring other businesses in or look at economic development on a wider platform for the town?
I don't think I can answer that for you right now because I have not been worked with the Economic Development Committee that much, other than they asked if I were interested in they feel like the president there, Josie, felt that I would be a good candidate to join her committee.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Great. Tim, do you have anything?
I do not. Your history and past seems like a good fit for what the board would be looking for.
Okay, thank you.
And Judy, you and I have interacted plenty
Yes.
in the past as well, so
Yes.
excuse me. All right, I would look for a motion such as to appoint Judy Dragoslis to the open seat on the Economic Development Committee.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you
Bangarang.
so much.
Thank you, Judy.
Have a good night.
Yep. Really like that we can keep that committee moving, and we'll talk a little bit about some of what's going on there during the committee reports, not a ton. Great. Looking next on our agenda, which I've promptly buried in my papers because I'm only so useful. There goes Greg Roy, just assuming he's up because he's next on the agenda.
And the only person here.
All right, we have our public hearings for 30 Summer Street. There are 3 of them. There's the special permit for building in the floodplain. For those who are looking on OpenGov, I'm going to give your OpenGov reference numbers as well for those who want to see the documents there. That's PBSP 25-9 for stormwater permit, PBSW 25-6, and site plan approval, PBSA 25-8. We do need to open we need to open the public hearing first.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a preliminary question before you open the meeting.
Yes.
We have a site plan approval, a stormwater permit, and a special permit, and the special permit requires a supermajority.
Yes.
Do you have, I just want to confirm in the public, do you have the ability for Mullen's rule? Because Ms. Reed is not here, and we would need her to form a quorum.
We do have the ability for Mullen.
Great.
We can Mullen rule a special permit, right?
Yes.
You could do it, I just want to make sure that your board, you understand that we would have
The
to do
town
it.
has adopted it, and the planning board has used it previously.
I knew the answer. I was just trying to get it in the
Right.
public, and I wanted to make sure that it would be acceptable to have Amanda do that. It's
Yep.
acceptable to us. I just want to make sure that
Understood completely. Nope, not an issue. If you don't want to open tonight, we would be fine with allowing you to continue.
No, I want to open tonight
Aye.
because the other, we can do it. I think you can open all three. I was going to suggest that maybe we didn't open that one, but there's no harm in opening it.
Okay, I mean, it's the one she can miss. That would be the only concern there.
Yeah.
It's your call. I'm fine either way.
You're going to continue the other two, I suspect. So let's not open it. Let's
Okay.
just open the site plan approval and the stormwater,
Okay,
and then
Chair.
I can talk to
I
that.
would just ask that he send a continuance form signed.
Yeah, I will do that.
Agreeing to the continuance of the opening of the hearing beyond the 65 days.
Yeah.
That's statutorily required.
Yeah, we'll do that. No problem.
great.
I think that makes sense, and then I can talk to the merits of the project under the other two hearings, and then we can not waste time, I think.
Super. I just thought about it, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I don't want that to,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, thank you.
okay, great. Let me, with slight apologies, I normally try to have all these documents up and ready before the meeting, but I'm going to be real with everyone. It is Thanksgiving week and I am hosting. So
Would you like me to read it?
if you have a handy, that would be great. Thank you.
The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing, excuse me, on November 24th, 2025, at 6:05 PM, Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass., to hear and review an application for site plan approval pursuant to Section 250-8.4, special permit pursuant to Section 250-4.8D3, construction within the floodplain district, and stormwater permit pursuant to Section 204-1 of the Code of the Town of Lunenburg by Chris Russ, SAF Store Real Estate Co., LLC, for the construction of a 4-story self-storage facility containing approximately 104,700 square feet at 30 Summer Street, Assessors Map 115, Parcel 9, owner Summer Street Autos, LLC, 30 Summer Street, Lunenburg, Massachusetts, 01462.
All right. Great. And Mr. Roy, if you are ready, please.
I am.
take it away.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Greg Roy with Dillis and Roy, representing the applicant this evening. I appreciate your time. And I'm going to try to be brief and give you an overview of the project. Also tell you where we are with the other permitting, because it's like a lot of these larger projects dovetails with some of the other boards and commissions in town. And then I do want to make sure that we discuss peer review. I'm certain that you're going to want to get this peer reviewed, and I'd like to get that, if it hasn't been already, I'd like to get that underway. So real quick, again, we were talking about the property at 30 Summer Street. It's very close to the Fitchburg line. If you go to the west, a few properties, the Fitchburg line is there we go, is kind of over here, off the page, if you will. You may be familiar with the site. It's currently used as an automotive auto sales facility. The gray hatching here constitutes the existing extent of the pavement on the property, and the pink rectangle is the existing structure. And I point that out to you to document that there's a lot of impervious on the site. Just about an acre of the 1.15 acres site is in fact impervious. So we have a fairly impervious existing condition. As we mentioned, I'm going to put another plan up. We're proposing a self-storage facility on the site. It will be an air-conditioned self-storage facility, so not one that you would see where you pull up to a garage door bay, single-story. This will be a multi-story building, air-conditioned, climate-controlled space, 4-story building. The footprint on the on the pink portion here is approximately 26,000 square feet. I'm rounding. Again, 4 stories, which is how we get to the approximately 104,000 square feet of area, gross floor area. We are proposing to reconfigure the pavement at the site to just be consolidated to the front portion of the site. One of the things that you'll need to determine through the site plan approval process is parking. You don't have this use defined as a use. So we have worked with the applicant. The applicant actually feels that let me back up a little bit, backspace. Safe Store does these all across the country. So this is sort of their business model. So they're in the business of finding sites and permitting these type of facilities all over. So they have a lot of data relative to these type of things. They actually came to us and said, when we were doing the initial early analyses relative to parking, that they really needed about 12 spaces. We're able to get them, I think, 16 or 17, between 15 and 17. I think we took a couple out for a dumpster right here, but we're in excess of what they need. Your board has the ability, I think, to determine that, but we will need to make that determination through the site plan approval process. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. But essentially, we're going to utilize the existing entrance, which is right here in the middle of the site. A lot of this existing today is actually fairly unconsolidated. They park vehicles there and show vehicles and things for sale, but the primary access is right here in the center. We're going to utilize that. We'd have two-way traffic along this front edge with the parking right up against the building. The accessible handicap spaces would be in this location adjacent to this black rectangle here is the portion that would be the office. That would be where we would be looking to get that accessibility. It's not colored very well here, but there also is a sidewalk located along the side and front here that also is an accessible route, meets the ADA standards for accessibility. It's just colored green. We didn't render that quite right today, but so we've consolidated all those in that area. And the reason for that is really one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, although you didn't open it because it's a special permit. I did want to acknowledge the fact that the site is within the 100-year floodplain. So we're trying to keep the filling of the floodplain to a minimum, but there is some floodplain filling that is required to construct the building and also half of the parking. We've raised this portion of the parking lot so that it can be sort of at the right elevation relative to the building. We left this portion of the parking lot at existing grade so we don't have any additional unnecessary filling of the floodplain. Be that as it may, we have a table here on sheet C4 that documents our flood compensation storage. This is important, will be important when we finally get to open the floodplain special permit, but it's also important relative to the Conservation Commission. Floodplain is considered bordering land subject to flooding by the Wetlands Protection Act and requires a notice of intent. So we've also filed a notice of intent application with the Conservation Commission. We opened that hearing last week, and that's ongoing. So I just wanted to let you know that that is in progress. But that's really how we determined that, where we'd put those accessible parking areas on that portion of the site where we're filling the parking in order to make that work. From a stormwater standpoint, the site is fairly unique in that we are reducing the amount of impervious area on the site. So existing conditions is like 0.95 or 995, I can't remember, almost an acre of impervious area. We're reducing it, the parking areas, sidewalk areas and rooftop areas are 0.86 acres. So we're reducing that by, I think, 12 or 13% on the site. So doing nothing on the site for stormwater controls by way of detention basins will be reducing the amount of runoff because we'll have more green space and we'll have more infiltration of the stormwater. I understand you're not going to take my word for that. You're going to get it peer reviewed, but just as an overall, as an overview of that. But we have provided a stormwater drainage report that, as I say often enough, if you have trouble falling asleep tonight, you can pull out, and read the first, 5 to 10 pages, and it'll put you to sleep. But we have provided all that to document compliance with the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Policy. Utilities, I'm going to flip the page, actually. We had a exciting discussion on the floor of town meeting, I guess that's the word I'll use, relative to this part of town and water last week. This site is actually not connected to water. There's an existing well on the property. There's a well somewhere over here. I'd have to show you on the existing conditions page. We are proposing, and we've talked directly to Fitchburg and also to Lunenburg, the water district with Lunenburg. We are proposing a connection to the water main that's out in the street. We'll be connecting right in this location here and providing domestic and fire sprinkling flows through this to this piece of property. So it's great that we could, hopefully we're on the path of getting this area of town resolved relative to that, because we are going to be indeed proposing a new commercial connection on that in that portion of town. We haven't had any issues relative to the engineering specifics of that connection when we reached out to the city of Fitchburg. Similarly, we're going to be connecting to the sewer. So the sewer exists out in the middle of Summer Street, and we're proposing a lateral right in this location to connect to the to connect the wastewater to the site. At this point, we don't propose any gas connections because energy code really makes it difficult to use fossil fuels nowadays for heating. But if that would really be a construction level thing anyway. But we'd of course propose an electrical connection to the street in a conventional manner. However, Unitil tells us to do that is what we'll do. Generally speaking, two more points. There is an access ramp where you can drive into the building to access into the building. Operationally speaking, most of the patrons that come and access the storage park in the out exterior to the building and bring their items in, utilizing the elevators and things to get them to the second through fourth floors. But there is the ability for interior loading through this portion of the site right there. And then the only other thing I wanted to point out, I think, is lighting. Well, two more things, actually. Lighting. We're not proposing any parking lot lights like you'd see at Hannaford's or Walmart. We're going to be using wall pack lights, so downward throw lights mounted to the side of the building. I think we have, 6 proposed, 5 or 6 proposed. The only portion of the site, and I know we don't have any butters here, but that doesn't mean we're going to ignore it. There are some, this is all commercially zoned, but there are some residential uses over here. So we're not proposing any wall pack lights on this side. The only thing we're proposing is what's allowed, what's required by code for a light at that pedestrian door, but no wall pack lights that would sort of flood the parking areas. So we're going to do the rear here, this side, and this side, but not the adjacent to what's a Intervale Road. And I think the only other thing I wanted to say was that, by way of permitting, I should have led with this, the first stop we made was to the Zoning Board of Appeals because this use is allowed by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. They did grant the special permit for the use 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I think we're in appeal period there. But I think that's it. Like I said, I expect that you would want a peer review. If you don't, that's fine, but I would expect that you would on a project this size. And if that's the case,
recording in progress.
I would love to get, you want me to repeat it all? If that's the case, I would love to get that going and initiate or authorize your staff to get that in progress.
All
That's
right.
it.
Great, thank you. Although we're not going to look at it tonight, just for the quick edification of our viewers at home, this is going to be the first project coming before our board that makes use of the new floodplain bylaw that we passed at last spring's town meeting. That bylaw is a mandate from the state, and we really use their recommended language and everything. It is overall straightforward, but that's why there's going to be a special permit here that if you're watching at home, you may not have seen us do before. And again, that's for the.
Bylaw before, I think it's just an updated bylaw.
Yes.
Because they updated the mapping, so it was just some minor changes, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it was a little more extensive in language, but I think functionally it's fairly similar.
I don't think it had the special permit requirement.
It did.
It did?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then it's just the mapping change that more comes into play now.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of words we had to do.
There was a
but-
lot of words changed, but it's just kind of that the lawyers making you update language.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the thing I memorized more so was my pitch to town meeting and the understanding of what it really means to the town, which had much more to do with, we need to do this so that people could keep their flood insurance.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah, this is an interesting site because we surveyed this in, I don't know, June. I can't remember. I think the maps updated July 3rd or 4th or July 5th or something like that, beginning of July, the flood maps. And it was fortuitously timed because if we had done this, if we had been processing and drawing the existing conditions based on the 1980s maps, the old floodplain maps, the datum conversion actually suggested that the floodplain was going to be about 1.8 feet lower on this site than the new maps published. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they did a new study and decided they needed to increase the elevation in this area. Because around the corner, we're working on Select Engineering on the corner of Route 2A, and it's in Fitchburg, but Route 2A and John Fitch Highway. The new maps cover that area too, and the datums did exactly what we expected. It went down, it went down by 0.8 feet. Here, it went up by a foot. I don't know what happened. I'm suspicious of it, but we've used the newly published flood elevation, and just went worst case scenario on it. I don't know of any. We've had some pretty big floods over the 20 years that I've lived in town. I don't know that this area is a big. Do you know of any flood in this part of Summer Street?
Most of it used to be urban flooding, and it was more
Yeah.
a result of the landing strip that used to be out there and the lack of drainage.
Yeah. I just don't know if this part of town is being, of real, but be that as it may, we're using the newly published flood elevation, which is based on new datums, and we're meeting the performance standards based on that, so.
Great. And again, that's not our main topic tonight. I just wanted to give some extra info for our friends at home who are going, I haven't heard about the floodplain. Is this a big deal? This is still part and parcel.
Yep.
I also like calling out to the town when the work they've done at town meeting matters.
It always matters, Matthew.
Yes, it does. When they can see how their work has a direct impact, as I should say.
Absolutely.
All right. I have a couple questions, but I will turn to for stormwater and site plan, but I'll turn to the rest of the board as well, and then we will also turn out for public comment. I don't think we will have, there is some out there tonight, so we'll also go out for public comment as well. This is a public hearing. But first, I'll turn to the board. Do we have, or what questions do we have for Mr. Roy tonight?
Do you have any, Tim?
I do not.
Okay, then I'll start my list. In your narrative, there are multiple mentions about it being a redevelopment site and meeting MEP or maximum extent practicable. Our stormwater bylaw actually requires redevelopment to meet 80% TSS and 50% phosphorus. I didn't dig through the stormwater report, I just want to
Yep.
make sure that we're hitting those targets. You don't have erosion control in the rear of the site. I'm inferring that that is an elevation thing and not wanting to spend the time and effort to install it around your area of clearing where it's a 2-foot height difference between the main site and the crest over to the slope down to the MBTA tracks.
Correct. Yep.
Will they be intending to have a truck rental business like some of these facilities have?
Not that I know of, but I'll ask that question.
Because frankly, the parking is fine until you start bringing U-Hauls in and out and.
Yeah, I'll ask that question. Thanks, Adam.
So for the drive into the building, can you provide turning movements for your average U-Haul? And can you also do it for the trash truck? I'm sure you've run the exercise, but I just want to have it on the record so that there isn't questions when that first person hops the curb and runs into the building because they don't know how to drive a U-Haul.
Yeah, absolutely. I could do it like an SU-30 or something, yeah.
I know some of these facilities, especially this large, provide managers' apartments, and the manager lives on site. Is that part of this facility?
Not that I know of, but I'll
You
ask the
didn't
question.
mention it, so
Yep.
I just wanted to ask. Do you know the total number of storage units in the building?
I do not, but I will ask.
And did the zoning board put any hours of operation?
You know, it's interesting. I didn't go to that hearing, so I'm not sure, but we'll check.
And that's more of
Yeah.
a curiosity, because I
Yeah.
think the longer it operates, the more it's open, the more we just
Yeah.
want to be conscious about parking.
Yeah,
I know we're not doing floodplain tonight, but you're using all low-impact stormwater for the most part, and
Yep.
you're also providing compensatory storage. It appears that it's a hybrid system. Is that fair to say?
yeah, this is tricky. I said that, I think I know where you're going. I said that we don't need any detention basins, conventional detention basins.
Well, I mean, you have them in a sense. You have the swales
Yeah.
around the building.
One of the DEP comments during the conservation process was that we need to document how we can accommodate flood storage in the areas that are also going to be, where the roof is going to be discharged to. So we have to address that with DEP. I'm actually interested in seeing what Walsh has to say about that.
That was my kind of thought as well.
Graves,
You know,
excuse me, Jeff Walsh
Yeah,
and Graves.
if
Because
you're-
this is one of those situations where we could direct the roof leaders to bypass those stormwater areas to accommodate a flood that, in my view, probably isn't going to occur on this site, but if it does, it's going to occur, there's a 1% chance every 100 years. Granted, that's happened, we've had, 100-year storms multiple times over the past 10 or 20 years, but it's a very low chance event. Seems like it'd be better to just discharge the roofs into those areas. So for 99%, if not all the cases where you're going to have runoff events and no flooding associated with Baker Brook, that you would just utilize it, even though we don't need it.
And
So we have to work through that.
I don't disagree with the
Yeah.
approach. I just
Yeah.
want to know that mathematically it works out.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the
It do-
day,
it doesn't
we're
work out.
approving it, and
Yeah, it won't work out if there's a 100-year flood. I'll tell you that right now. If there's a water surface at elevation 366, which is essentially all the way around the building, and you won't. It'll be pouring into that,
And, I mean, honestly, in that event, even if you were to use dry wells under the parking area, you're in the same situation.
we have a lot bigger problems than the roof, right? But by the way, in that situation, that's more or less what you have now. You have no attenuation of stormwater runoff. It flows directly off the site into the floodplain areas. So it's what you have today, and we're reducing the amount of impervious area. So the impact is going to be less, is my point. But we have to work through that with DEP, and I expect with Graves. But that's a good question.
And with the drive-in building, and this is not necessarily our concern, but it's something I think we should be aware of, is you need an MDC trap in a garage that you store a vehicle in. I would reach out to the building inspector or the plumbing inspector and verify if that's a necessity.
Yeah.
Because you may need a second sewer connection, or at least a Y, once you get into the site for those 2 flows.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think we need to go to the sewer commission as well on this one. So we need to get that reviewed, but thank you.
That's all I have.
Great. I had a few questions. I'm curious how they came. I understand this is a company that does this regularly, and it doesn't benefit them to have an inappropriate amount of parking. But I'm curious how they get to the number.
I could get, they didn't give me a detailed calculation, they just gave me anecdotally that for these size places, they routinely permit them with, 12 or so parking spaces. That's what they see that they need. Sort of anecdotally is what they pointed to.
Yeah,
But I can get some backup for you.
Yeah, I would like to know the methodology. Now, the methodology may be, yeah, we do this all the time in buildings this big, typically need about this number. If that's what it is, that's what I just want to.
Yep.
And frankly, if they do have some kind of calculation, I also want to know it.
Yep.
Because this isn't included in our
Yeah.
parking bylaw right
Yeah.
now. And
Data point for you folks. if you
Yes.
wanted to. Yeah, okay.
great.
In general, my feeling on that is businesses aren't going to spend $3-4 million to do this and underpark themselves and make it hard for people to give them money.
That's true.
I agree. I think that
And
is
I think it's
super-
good to get the calculations,
Yeah,
just.
we can get to
I
that.
think is super unlikely. I just am aware of our history of problematic parking in town,
Come
and
on. I'm just kidding.
I will feel better.
I support your request.
Same as I also sit there and think, okay, what if they're wrong and people start parking up and down Summer Street regardless of if they can,
Carrying their
and,
big boxes.
yes.
No, that's good. Fair question.
Okay, I think that's mine. Richard, I'm going to turn to you, and as always, my friend, you can feel free to interrupt me or us at any point, because, we're paying you, sir, so feel free. But is there anything you want to ask or want to bring to our attention for us to ask or like that?
I think you brought the questions I would have raised. Regarding the parking, I think could be helpful to have a couple of sites that they have these facilities at.
Yeah.
So we can see what their square footage and their number of parking spaces are there and see how they compare.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to take a moment as well to ask if there is any public comment. I see no public in the room, but we do have public in our participants list on Zoom. So if you are here and want to ask a question or make a comment, just go ahead and use that hand raise feature. If you really aren't sure how to use the hand raise feature, unmute and say, dude, me. But, yeah. Seeing none at this time, I'll let us know if that changes.
I did have one last question that I missed on my list.
Please.
Do you know the number of employees that they have on their largest shift? I know a lot of these places are usually onesie, twosie. There isn't too
Yeah.
many folks there, but
I'll confirm that, but my understanding is like 1 or 2 people on site. Not a big load there at all.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of what
But I'll confirm that.
I'm just looking quickly if, okay, yeah, I see the police department did, it's gone to the police department as well, wonderful. I wasn't sure that was a step in this process, and I wanted to make sure it was, because I could envision a world where
Yeah.
they care about storage facility in particular.
Well, they probably will as far as security goes.
Yeah.
Most facilities I've dealt with like this have an internal and external camera system, and generally it's monitored fairly strictly, and they may just want to reach out to the chief and see if he has a retention time period that he likes to see, so they make sure that, if it's a 30-day retention, just
Yeah.
to make sure that if there are any requirements or other things that he thinks would make it easier for him to assist them, that they can be ahead of that rather than have an incident and find out that
Yeah.
they don't have what he needs for whatever reason.
Enough, yeah. Okay. We also did get, I think we got, I can't remember if it was through this process or if it was through our filing that we made with the zoning board of appeals, but we did get a comment from the fire department about hydrant placing and things like this, so we did address that. There's going to be a hydrant, it's not on this plan, but it's going to put a hydrant right there. Right there.
All right.
And then I think that Bill Bernard had a comment or two, so we'll make sure that we clean all that up. I like to get the comments out in front of me, peer review and all, and then we'll try to do as comprehensive of a plan revision as we can to try to address everybody's concerns at once.
Yeah, and that's, see, it's interesting because I have that, and I'm thinking, I don't see anything, but it must have been through the,
I think it was through the zoning board of
yeah, through the
appeals
ZBA.
process, yeah, and
Yeah.
we have that noted.
I love the open gov lets me look at this, and I'm like, oh, police
Yeah,
department's looked at it and approved, that's easy.
Yeah. It's a good system.
When you do get the zoning board decision, it'd be helpful if you uploaded
Sure.
it to these
Yeah.
three, just so it's all tidy and in one.
Yep, will do.
All right, we have still no public comment. Do we have further questions from the board? I know we do need to go on to, I'm not going to stop us before we go on to peer review, but any other questions from the board at this time?
No, my question was whether you want a motion about peer review or not.
Yes, please.
I move that we send this to Graves for peer review.
Second.
Richard, you are our interim right now. Is that good enough for you, or do you need more from us in any specific way?
And that's fine.
Okay, great. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm happy to send that, Richard, if you'd like me to facilitate that, to ease the burden, or if you want to do it, however you want to do it.
If you can send it, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll CC all of you.
Great.
From
Yeah.
a logistical, practical perspective, it's easier for you to do it than
Yeah,
me.
okay, that's fine. Maybe if you just follow up with whatever paperwork you need from Graves.
Was
That would
the
be great.
fee-
When you
submitted?
send it to them, I assume you're gonna do it electronically,
Yeah,
copy me and
yeah, I will, okay.
Leanne on it. Lee.
I think so.
Okay.
I think we did submit the fee, but I guess, if we
That would be
didn't,
the one thing that holds it up, and generally Graves prefers a hard copy for review.
Yeah,
So.
that's fine.
If you
We'll
send
mail.
it digitally, make sure you're following up with the hard.
yeah, we'll do. I'll ask him whatever he wants. And if we didn't get the fee, we'll make sure we get it in. I think we filed this when you had no staff in the office, so I apologize. So if there's anything you need from us, relative to that, just let me know. We're happy to provide additional copies or whatever you folks need.
Great. Thank you. Okay, and
Brian was pulling his hair out, trying to do the legal
Here.
advertising. Yeah, figuratively speaking, trying to get the legal ads done and everything, so.
I haven't said it today in public, so I will say it again today. Brian Gingras is a saint, and the people of Lunenburg should be grateful how much they will never know how important he is in their lives, because they don't know, because he's been pulling extra and helping out with all of this, and that prevents the sorts of issues that people notice.
Yep.
That we are fortunate. All right. When do you want us to see you next?
Well, I think that it would be probably optimistic to think that we'd get all that stuff done in 2 weeks, so.
It's going to be 3 weeks.
Oh, 3?
Because our next meeting, we've condensed our 2 December meetings to one on the 15th.
Oh, then we better do that if we can.
Okay.
And then if we, for some reason, don't have peer review comments, maybe we kick the can down to January, but I'd like to keep if there's a chance, even though it's an outside chance, if there's a chance that Graves can get it done, we'd love to have the opportunity.
Okay, so I will turn to, Richard.
Just looking on the OpenGov, I didn't see any indication that the peer review fee had been paid.
Okay. Is that a standard
So-
fee? That's a standard fee every time, or do you estimate it?
It's a standard
I
fee.
believe it's in Lunenburg is a standard fee.
Okay, well,
Some other communities, it's varies each time.
okay, well, you'll have a check tomorrow.
Great. All right. And Richard and/or Lee, just please find out from Graves what we expect the turnaround time to be, because if Jeff says, yeah, I'm not going to get to this until after the next meeting, we can both let the applicant know as well as make sure it isn't on our next agenda.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think we need to be kind of blunt. This is Thanksgiving week.
It's not going to happen.
It's very unlikely it's going to happen.
I agree, but I'd still,
It's easier to just
Yeah.
continue one meeting and then continue it again than it
Yeah.
is to have him hanging out there.
no, I agree. I like to try to not have the extra items on the agenda when we know they won't happen, just for the sake of the public, but this is also in the grand scheme.
well, and the other thing that could be advantageous is to come and at least open the floodplain.
That's
special
true.
permit. So if we could just keep it on, I think that would be good.
Great. All right,
And I will get you a continuation letter for the,
Or whatever it
yeah.
is.
perfect. Thank you. And then I would look for a motion such as to continue this public hearing to our December 15th meeting at 6:05 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
thank you very
Great.
much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Greg. Thank you.
Weeks, yeah.
All right. Okay. So I've changed, on the agenda, we've changed decisions to decisions in business, and this is really just meant to be where we can put the paperworky type of aspects of the things that may need a vote, but they're not, decisions don't. What's there tonight, the 100 Townsend Harbor Road stormwater permit, except handling a bond for that could, but we need to talk about it first, and that's just where I'm putting these. Once we have a full-time planner, I suspect our agendas may shift and morph to meet their working style as well, but for now, it works, and Richard, I'm going to turn to you and ask, because last I knew, we put this on the agenda so we could talk about it, but last I knew, the applicant had not gotten back with an estimate. Is that correct?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. So that being, it's the standard. They'd like to get their certificate of occupancy, but for the building commissioner to sign off, the stormwater needs to be done. Stormwater isn't ready yet because we're heading into winter.
They can't do the plants until spring.
Yeah, exactly. So, but without an estimate from the builder, we don't know what we could do for a bond. So I think I believe it's a moot point unless I'm incorrect.
Unless they want to give us well above what reasonable cost to do plantings would be.
And we have no communication from them to that effect either, so,
And I say we punt.
yeah, I say we're gonna punt, and if they come back. Great. Now, it came in today, so it is not listed on the agenda, but we do have a decision for 255 Sunny Hill, and that should be fine for us to review, again, because this isn't a substantive part of the meeting that is a vote. This is us checking paperwork. We cannot print it tonight for a signature because the printer here is down. So even if we like the decision, we'll have to come in to sign.
I also sent 560 Mulpus in as well.
There's an error on that one. The front page notes 390 Goodrich Street under the certificate of decision.
Okay. I'll correct that.
I don't mind signing it with the front page to be corrected.
Yeah. I'll take care of that. I apologize.
Yeah, it happens.
I see, okay, and, yeah, my apologies, I only forwarded the, 255 Sunny Hill. I did not forward the Mulpus. Do you need me to forward that? Oh, we have that here in front of us. Done.
Mulpus? Yeah, we have Mulpus.
Yeah, thank you. Never mind, that's easier. Great.
In case we had technical problems.
Got it, thank you. I think, now, Sunny Hill, we do not have a print copy, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That's the one that just came in.
got it. Understood. Thank you. And like I said, in the future, please, this is an area I'm going to be weak, so you can feel free when these come in, throw them on the agenda
Okay.
for the next meeting, and that way,
I don't know if it's the way my computer is putting it up, but in the standard conditions on Sunny Hill, there's a page that has one line of text and then then it's blank until the next page. So if we can compress that, it will make it better. It looks like it's a tracked changes copy, so I don't know if the changes are accepted, if it will then compress it. If not, before you print it, it might be worth trying to do that.
I also find that the
Okay.
that the way Outlook open, if you're looking in Outlook,
Yeah.
the way Outlook opens the documents isn't necessary.
Which is why I said it
Yeah.
might be the way it's displaying. Also, Tim did not abstain. He was not present for the vote.
He was present when we voted on Sunny Hill.
Right.
He abstained, well, he could not vote on it because he hadn't Mullen ruled.
I guess we could say he.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, yes, it was the first one. I looked at the meetings backwards.
Yep. On Sunny Hill, I just wanted to note, it says the vote was a roll call vote. I believe that was a
It was a voice vote.
voice vote.
And this is super annoying by me, but it would be great if the text were consistent for everybody's name.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any practical effect. It's just one of those things that I look at and it bothers me.
Understood.
So I know that that's me and I own that, but
Okay. All right.
if I open it on the computer here, it's got that big space, but if I open it here on my phone, it all.
Okay, yeah, so
runs
like,
smoothly.
it's probably just Outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a few
When
of
I,
those. I only know because I've had a few of those recently where I panicked. I'm like, what's going? And then I open it and I go, oh, never mind.
Yeah, when I sent it, it didn't have it, and then I just opened it again, and now it's got
Yeah, I'm
Gap
opening
again.
it out of Outlook, so it's probably the way that the window's popping up.
Yeah. The Outlook Word viewer is only so good, it turns out.
All of 365 online is only so good.
I agree. There is a reason for my personal use, I get the big boy version. Or whatever you call the apps as apps, not as things in my web browser. Grumble, grumble. Middle-aged man, don't like the world changing, grumble.
And I sent the Mulpus one first because I noted from the meeting record, the gentleman indicated that they were trying to get this ready before the tax credits expire.
Yeah,
So that, with the 20-day appeal period, that has a urgency to it.
on Mulpus, I get a small thing, and I'm comfortable signing with it getting fixed, because I don't think it matters, but in the motions and conditions, the motion passed by a vote of 4 in favor to, I think that is a letter O in this font, not a 0.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know how much that matters in a practical sense.
That's definitely an O.
It's been changed.
Yep. This is where you have to deal with the fact that I did document design for a living for a long time, so,
It's the same thing as Adam.
Yeah, but we'll sign a signature page and,
yeah. We have a SIG page, and otherwise, I think it's fine, so. Okay, great.
Amanda online.
I can. So we can just sign one of the signature pages we have here, right? I have one.
I
Oh,
have one that's not stapled.
I love it, thank you. If you can pass that down, we will give it our, I can pass the pen too.
Yeah, please.
Blue pen is acceptable, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Blue or black?
That's what I thought.
Just no purple
And-
or red.
Nope.
No, the registry does not like red. I've got a pen.
I apologize, I'd hoped to get these last week, but I was in a place in New Hampshire that, for some reason, my girlfriend's net server did not like me, and every time I tried to log in, it would kick me off, so.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. Yeah, understood completely. And Richard, to be frank, multiple of us on the board have worked with you enough to know that if you say this will be changed, it will be changed, and that's not an issue.
I've already changed the first item that Adam brought up on Mulpus.
Yep. Okay, so Mulpus, we've got, and no one else had any other concerns with Sunny Hill other than the vote, I think. So if we can get into the office and sign that next week sometime.
Is office open Wednesday?
Yes, it is.
Great. All right, then I think that is all of our decisions and business for tonight.
If I can, I just want to make
Please.
one note. On Sunny Hill, you may note that the reference to the appeal process is different from the past several decisions. Past several decisions were quoted the zoning bylaw and not the section of the stormwater bylaw that actually references the appeal process.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So that is our decisions in business. Side note, by the way, I asked Brian Gingras because I was curious, because, well, as I note on our agenda, the work was all for 100 Townsend Harbor Road, but in the original approval we did was 100 Townsend Harbor. The bond would be for 116 Townsend Harbor Road, because that's going to be the address once assigned and everything. I only bring it up because that made me ask Brian Gingras how this works on the back end. And among the upgrades coming to OpenGov, and this is probably not a surprise to you, is the ability to link these addresses to the previous, because it's they did an A&R, 100 Townsend Harbor is going to become multiple street addresses once assigned by building department. And so OpenGov will have the ability to link the new addresses back to the old permits and everything for the previous. So that things are only becoming more linked in a way that will make research easier. And having had to recently go through some of our files, I guarantee that anything that makes research easier is lovely. All right. And, okay, board discussions, master plan, and the real touch base here, and this is easy because Tim is on the committee, and Adam, this is what we've already talked about, you and I, which is just, as we're getting into the home stretch, and the master plan steering committee would really like, remember way back in the fall, we looked at that grid that the master plan steering committee gave, and Adam gave some feedback on it, shared it with us, and Tim and I, you were aware of it from your formal participation on the committee and my informal participation in the committee. My informal participation with the committee, not on the committee. So they would like us to commit to some of our thoughts because they need to commit to a plan in writing. And I certainly don't mean to cut short more discussion in this venue, but by the same token, Adam's shared a lot of his thoughts. My voice has been able to be shared plenty in the calls and everything. So if we're comfy with it, and I know that it looks like Adam will be joining for the call next week as well, I'm offering this to the board if there's more we want to talk about on that grid, and we can look it up and talk about it. But for those who are here, I think we may just be in a good place and not need to do that tonight. But I don't want to cut us short if we're looking to.
No, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think I've shared my feedback on that grid. I'm hoping that in the time since we've submitted feedback that the grid has changed or will change in the final product, because I won't be comfortable going forward if the final product reflects what was in that grid.
Yeah, and things have changed notably.
Okay.
I mean, are many of the goals still, are many things still generally the same? Yes. Has wording been tightened? Have things been categorized and put together in a way that makes it more coherent and actually communicates the broader picture? Mm-hmm. Yes. And again, Adam, you and I have talked about this, but to say it out loud for the community at large, it looks like the direction we're going to go, and I think this is a good thing, is a master plan that in the end identifies a lot of goals that the town has identified, that we've as a community said these are important to us, but also recognizes and will say ways to get there include and will give us options. They're not an exhaustive list of options because the world is changing. And both as we've seen in town recently, our rapid growth and other needs mean that we need to be able to act nimbly. In addition, there isn't necessarily, we haven't as a town come to a consensus on every bit and piece. So having some direction to go then enables us to look at those goals, know ways we can approach, and react accordingly, and that would impact decisions the planning board makes. That will impact decisions other boards and committees make, because the master plan, although it is technically a land use document, really touches on every aspect of our community through that lens. All right. I will move us on then, unless anyone has anything else. Abutting community notices. The Fitchburg, and normally it's not a big deal, and this still I don't think really impacts us much, but it's here in our paperwork. The Fitchburg Planning Board is looking at a zoning change. Zoning Act to consider amendments to the Fitchburg zoning ordinance for technical revisions that will clarify the special permit and site plan review process and definitions, and goes more in. Putting that on our radar, because this is more than just, oh yeah, they're doing a stormwater permit for a new development. I don't think it's going to impact us one bit.
It doesn't. That's more of an applicant process
Yes,
sort of thing.
but put it in for the sake of completeness in that case, and otherwise, moving forward, committee reports. Master Plan Steering Committee.
I don't know that there's much else to add at this point. There was some presentations made at the town meeting, and those all seemed to go well. The committee is finalizing, collecting up all of the input requests that it sent out. And hopefully there will be a finished draft in the near future.
Did they get much input from other boards and committees?
To my understanding, yes.
Some committees have had a lot of input. Some have been incommunicado as expected. There's been a push to still try to get info from them. And different committees have expressed different ways. Capital planning, for example, a lot of what we talk about was how, a lot of our answers were, does this involve your committee? Yes, to the extent that this is a capital project within our purview. That it's a capital project, but not to the extent necessarily that we're looking at a big debt exclusion or something. So, still good info, and they've been incorporating all of it. All right, Open Space Committee.
I was unable to attend the most recent meeting. Going based upon the agenda that I have, there may have been some discussion in regards to, I don't know if you ever got drafting bylaw and mission statement. I don't know if there has been an actual discussion about, I'm sure there was, the expanding the board and its own, having it under its own control.
All right. Municipal Building Design Committee continues to meet twice a month on Mondays, opposite Planning Board effectively. And it has been, work there is progressing fast. That said, nothing is a sure thing yet. The committee continues to be very focused on Ritter as the as I'm informed, was the initial charge for this reiteration of the committee, to focus on Ritter as the new, effectively the new town hall. There's been a lot of talk about, and large agreement about taking the 1960s annex and bulldozing it, because it does not have historic or any other value, and instead building a new, potentially three-story annex instead in vaguely the same footprint. On paper, and with some estimates, that gets us the square footage we need for town offices. I think there's a lot more discussion to have there. The reason for you look confused, Adam,
I don't look confused.
or so.
It's not the direction that I think that I would take if one were to ask me what the best way to retrofit that building would be. Not an architect, haven't been involved, so I can't say it's wrong. It just feels wonky.
My understanding is that end of the building is less expensive to build on than the far end of the building due to grading and everything. And part of the reason looking at 3 floors is because 2 kind of meets, if we did 2 floors there, it would meet our needs right now. And I have been probably the most vocal person in the group in terms of saying, I don't care about right now, I care about 20 to 50 years from now.
We have 5 pounds now, we're gonna have 10 pounds at some point.
Yes, because we're not growing at the rate we were a couple years ago, but I'm not convinced we're not going to resume that rate of growth.
And frankly, government is just changing, and there are more needs, and there's more professionalism, and there's more people that are needed to serve the various needs.
I think that committee I could, again, wax a long time about this, I think that committee, we are moving quickly. I think there's a lot of good ideas coming through. I do think we are simultaneously going at a great clip, and I think we are missing some key ideas and inputs we're going to need.
Parking is gonna be the major issue. There's not enough parking there currently, and if you combine buildings and build a significant 3-story addition, you are essentially going to eliminate what reasonable parking there is.
And that has been part of the discussion as well.
I'm sure it has, just.
And overall, the goal for the committee is to get to a point that we haven't, rather than engaging a design firm and saying, make us something that meets our needs, because people weren't really happy with where that landed last time, to instead say, here's our needs as we understand them. Here's the way we think, here's the way it looks like this is the approach to take. Please work with this. And I would argue that we should also tell them to push back on us where we're wrong. But to give more guidelines to hopefully develop something that is going to meet our needs effectively and be more appealing to the townspeople as a whole. I will say that there is a lot, and this is more for the sake of the townspeople out there, there's a lot of thought being, not so much thought, but there is an absolute intent, there is the real intention to make sure that whatever is built meshes well with Ritter and makes a cohesive, with the original Ritter, and makes a cohesive structure that can honor that building's history and be a pleasant focal point for downtown. Again, I don't know that I think I'm still on team, we shouldn't have town offices in the center of town, but.
There's also a school of thought that putting a completely contrasting style of building emphasizes the historic nature of the original building and can not detract from it, but rather enhance it and elevate it.
You want to see a great example of that, by the way, go see Quincy City Hall. Fantastic. I don't know if you're familiar with, they've got the giant, the original City Hall is a big granite colonial building. And then, built off of it is the large modern glass and steel. And so that juxtaposition highlights both the historic character and really makes it visually clear what is historic and what is modern. Now, I think there's a lot more discussions to have in that committee. And I bring it up here because I think, in more detail, because I think we need to be having lots of conversations about this at every step as a town as a whole. So no one's surprised when something comes to town meeting eventually. Capital Planning Committee continues to meet. We are going to probably, with the town manager's understanding and blessing, we're going to go past the new year in terms of getting everything together. That date of everything must be submitted before the end of the year isn't really a true necessity. It was a matter of contrivance and a roughly good date, but the money situation in the town being what it is from the, and I don't mean that sounds scarier than I mean in terms of having having professionals who can do the books and everything. Us being behind on that means we're going to move it a little bit later as we go. It won't be a big deal for the town otherwise. Economic Development Committee has not met since our last meeting because their meeting was going to be the same day as special town meeting. We'll be meeting in December. I forget, we're going to have some guest people come in. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. There has been some talk on that committee, though, for helping do ribbon cutting ceremonies for new businesses opening, which I think could be great. We do have new businesses opening in town pretty frequently these days, and it's nice to give them that option as well as highlight to the community as a whole that we do have businesses coming to Lunenburg. Stormwater Task Force.
We postponed our November meeting until we could get through the special town meeting and get the funding we required for the new consultant. We got approved at special town meeting. We'll have our next meeting very beginning of December, and we will continue on from there.
Great. Amanda is not here for Montechusett Regional Planning Commission or Montechusett Joint Transportation Committee. Minutes approval. We do not have any minutes to approve at this time. Lee is aware of the backlog and will be getting to it, but she has been in the office 5 days, including today. So I think we can be understanding on that front.
Thank you.
Meeting schedule. As always, our board meets at 6 p.m. at the Bellotta Meeting Room upstairs at Town Hall. I do want to call out, our usual cadence would put our next meeting on Monday, December 8th. However, since we're not going to meet on the 22nd of December, we decided to combine both meetings. Our next meeting of this board is on Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m. After that, we'll be meeting on January 5th and January 19th at our usual cadence. All right.
It's likely I won't be available on the 5th.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, sir. Board, any comment from the board?
Welcome,
Okay.
Lee.
Thank you.
Richard, do you have anything else for us before we sign off tonight?
Not really, I just want to say I'm glad y'all decided to meet on the 15th and not the 22nd. I have two private projects before planning board that decided they're going to meet on the 22nd.
I am.
I was shocked by.
I am so sorry. And Adam, I do remember the year we met between Christmas and New Year's.
Yes.
And it was you, me, and Matt Allison in that Zoom call, and everyone else who said they were going to be there
Didn't show up.
insisted we needed that meeting. Yep. That was my first year on the board, and here we are now. All right. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Friends, it is 7:20. Thank you for joining us again. This is your planning board. You're probably not watching us live if you're on Facebook, but you can always catch us on YouTube. Thanks for coming to town meeting. See you in a few weeks.